So this parsha we're going to do is VaYishlach, which is the coming weeks. Okay, this is tremendous stuff, and like you said before, Warren, this is going to be fundamental. Everything's fundamental, but this is really fundamental. This is like really, in terms of like machshava, the kind of things we're talking about. This is. I don't want to say it's 101, but it is like the basic building blocks. So we're going to do things today that if you have this, it's a great way to start understanding it. I'm going to do it through the parsha, but I'm going to give you the fundamentals of some of the classic things we talk about, all right? So let's jump in. We're going to jump in right to the parsha. VaYishlach, page 170. Okay, those in Facebook land, it's not on 170, whatever book you're looking at, it's on Parshas VaYishlach. All right, that says, VaYishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefanav. Yaakov sent messengers before him. El Esav Achiv, to Esav his brother, Arta Seir, the land of Seir, which is in Sdei Edom, which is in the fields of Edom. Now, this one line already has massive problems. Okay? Now I'll show you why. First of all, it says Yaakov sent Malachim. Now, Malachim has two different meanings. Okay, what are the meanings of Malachim, you know? Messengers or angels. And Rashi is usually the Pashtan. Rashi says the Pshat. Like the Rashbam wants to say, this means messengers. Yaakov sent messengers to Esav. It's not a big deal. He wants to tell him, hey, listen, tell Esav that I live with Lavan, and I have these things, and I came to make peace with you. All right, great. So the simple explanation would be he sent messengers, but Rashi avoids that. Rashi says this means literally angels, malachim. Okay? So why does Rashi go? Why are Rashi saying malachim? Now, if you say you give an explanation for Rashi, because whatever his explanation is, why would Yaakov send angels here? If you want to send people, a message to your brother Esau saying, okay, it took me a long time, I've been living here, I want to make peace with you, send messengers. Why do you send angels for? Now, it's worse than that. Because what happened was, if you saw, it says, in last week's parsha we just finished here, it says that Yaakov is coming back from outside of Israel. He's coming into the land of Israel. And what happens is he has angels escorting him. We'll explain what angels mean in a second. Angels are escorting him from outside of Israel. And then angels that are meeting him from Israel. Apparently there's different angels. There are malachim that are the malachim outside of Israel, the malachim inside of Israel. And that's why the end of the last parsha said, he called the place Machanayim, which means there are two camps of angels. I think the Medrash says there were 600,000 each. There was like 2 million. It's a large number. I think 1,200,000. I think the Medrash says. But there was two camps of angels that were with him now. And the Medrash says an amazing thing here. He says when he sent the messengers, he made sure to take angels from both camps. I don't want just these camps. I got to send to Esav messengers from both camps. Okay, he has these two sets of angels that are different. And when he wants to send a message to Esav, he's got to send them both. One camp's not enough, which is weird, right? The story of Sancherib, for example, when the angel killed Sancherib, was one angel destroyed the whole thing. He needs two boys angels from two camps, and why just send a person? What's going on here? What is this whole angel business? Now, let me just, as an side point, let me just talk about angels 1 second. Angels is the biggest, one of the biggest misconceptions in the world. God doesn't need little helpers, right? So what is a malach? You know what the word malach means? It's from the word milacha, action. That's what it means.
Force.
Well, I mean the milacha, like from malacha. When you do malacha on Shabbos, you do meaning that like this. Just like you have laws in the physical world, if I drop my glasses, they fall. That's the law of gravity. So there are spiritual laws in the world. The forces that bring those things out are called malachim. God doesn't need help, but those are the systems he put into the world. Just like there are physical laws in the world, there are spiritual laws in the world. It's not that God needs help, but that's the system he created, how he wants to reveal himself, which is in a certain way actually concealing himself because it comes through a force, right? If I drop these glasses, I don't say, wow, how did they fall? God must have made them fall. No, I say that Hashem created a law of nature, and that's why the glasses fall. So therefore, I could actually see God in the world as creating the force of the laws of gravity, or I might think that the law of gravity has its own power, right? So angels actually, in a certain sense, sometimes we say it actually conceals God because it's like a step-down system that God created how we experience the world. But angels are not God's helpers. They are the spiritual laws, just like we have physical laws, for how the world should work. But they function in the spiritual realm. Now, Yaakov, we have no idea why he needs to send angels, send messengers. And he needs angels from both camps? Why? All right, that's problem one. All right. Now, in the text it said he sent them to where? Want to see where he sent them to? He sent them to his brother, to the land of Seir. Right? So he sent the angels before him to his brother and the Seir. And the implication from this verse is, where's Yaakov heading? To Seir. He said the Fanafs before him. But the problem is that's not true. Because later on, if you look, when Yaakov actually runs into Esav, and they have their encounter, when after the encounter happens, so it says, look on page 178, so it says that after he meets Esav, it says on page 178, verse 12, Pasuk Yud Beis, Vayomer nisav elecha ve'elchalandecha. We're gonna escort you. I'm going back to Seir, my hometown. We'll come with you. So Yaakov says, nah, I don't need it. Thanks very much. It's okay. I'm fine. You know what? Master, the kids are young and they're weak, and the sheep, and if I push them, they'll die. You go, and I'll go slow, and I'll meet you there. I'll get to Seir eventually. In the end of Pasuk Yudal, verse, eventually I'll meet you in Seir. And then you look at the next verse, Esav leaves. And then it says in verse 17, Esav goes to 16, he goes to Seir, and Yaakov went to Sukkot. Yaakov said, all right, yeah, I'll meet you, keep going. I'm right behind you. But he didn't go there. Now, why not? So Rashi brings that what happened was, he said, I'm not going to Seir now. I'll go to Seir eventually. I'm not lying. I'll go to Seir. In the end of time, it says, when Hashem judges in the end of history, and the final war is going to be in Seir, God's going to go to Seir. And Seir is a place where the action is going to happen. I'll meet you in Seir later.
Way later.
Way later. But in the beginning of the parasha, it seems he's going to Seir right away because he sends the messengers to go to Seir, and he's right behind them. So is he going to Seir? Is he not going to Seir? Right, you hit a problem? Another problem. All right, now let's read on the text, and we're going to see, once we get to these things, they're fascinating concepts. Hey, Payman, how you doing? Oh, Rhonda, good to see you. Now, so now, let's see. So, all right, we'll review the questions then, but let's look at the next little part here. It says, now, okay, watch, you got to understand something. This parsha has been studied by the sages throughout the generations on how to deal with Esav, how to deal when we're in exile. And there's a whole discussion if Yaakov did the right thing, the wrong thing. It's an argument between the Zohar and the Medrash, the right thing, the wrong thing, because Yaakov seems to be subjugating himself and not. But this is the place where there's a very heavy interaction about the Jew in exile. And this is the parsha, this is the portion that the sages always studied how to deal with this. So let's read Yaakov's words now, what he says. So he says, go tell the messengers to go and tell Esav. In verse 5, says, go tell them, tell my master Esav, Yaakov, say your servant Yaakov, which means that he is like trying to make himself low here. Just serving Yaakov. He's like gets nervous about Esav. He's still not a good guy. He said like this: Im Lavan garti. I was living with Lavan. I was supposed to be a prince. I stole the blessings from you. You feel, but I wasn't a prince. I was sojourning. I was living as a stranger with Lavan, and that's why I'm so late. It took me so long. Now the next line is very, very weird. Vayili shor v'chamor. I got an ox and I got a donkey. It sounds a little bit meager. Right? I got an ox, I got a donkey. Well, Rashi says, okay, now sometimes we refer to a whole group of ox and donkeys. We refer to them as the singular, but it's a little weird here. He says, I got an ox, a donkey, I got sheep, and I got an Eved Shivcha, I got a slave. Okay. Why is he telling me he's got this donkey and the ox? What's he trying to say to him here? So there's different approaches here. One approach of Rashi is first he's trying to make himself, he's trying to play it lay low. Our father gave me blessings, Mital Shamayim from the heavens. I don't have that stuff. The blessings didn't work for me. I got a donkeys and I got bulls. I don't have what our father promised us. That's what Rashi brings here. Rashi says, our father said from the dew of the heavens and from the fat of the land that it didn't work for me. I don't have it, so don't be so upset. So he seems to be like acquiescing to Esav, trying to keep Esav like not to get upset. Okay. Then it says that the angels came back and they said, hey, we came to Esav with your message, right? I said the line. It says, and now I'm sending you to please find favor in your eyes. That was the main point of what he said. Okay, he said, I've been a stranger with love, and I didn't get my blessings, and don't be so upset. And I want to find favor in your eyes, which was the main point he was trying to do. Why Rashi said he was taking the high road of being, subservient. And now the angels come back and they say, we came to your brother Esav, and he's coming to get you with 400 men. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. When Yaakov does this whole appeasing, does he think Esav's a good guy, not a good guy? What do you think?
Clearly not a good guy.
Clearly not a good guy. He still has to pretend here that something's gonna, don't get upset, that I don't want to rile him up. So he thinks he's not a good guy. Now, after they come back, the next line says, in verse page 172, Yaakov got very afraid. Okay, Vayetzer lo. Okay, he got very worried, and now he starts a process. Now, okay, I understand he got scared because there's 400 men. That makes sense. But now it says in the verse that once this happens, the angels come back and they say, "Hey, he's Esav, the same old guy." Yeah, because I need a game plan, and the Torah tells us his game plan. He goes for a 3-pronged attack. 3-pronged. What are the 3 things he does? Anyone know? He splits the camp, which means he gets for war. One thing he prepares for is war. Okay? In face of attacks, if I split the camp, ambush, if we have to flee, whatever it is, but I split the camp, he's prepared himself for war. What was the second thing he did, Rashi says? Second thing he did is he sent gifts now. Before he was just trying to appease him. Now he's like, uh-oh. And he sends him all these gifts, and he makes it that that his servants bring these gifts, and they put space between each one, so it looks like a giant gift. And then after he says, "Now I got to pray, got to daven." So he starts a 3-pronged attack: war, gifts, and prayer. That's very nice. I think it's a great idea. I commend it. It's a wonderful idea. I'm going to say, why didn't you think of it before? Like, you apparently knew who Esav was, and you're going nonchalant. Yeah, this is okay, it's fine, wonderful. And then all of a sudden, the Malachim come back, and now you're like flipping out. I need a game plan. What were you thinking before? How come you didn't the game plan before? It's like you knew who the guy is, and they come back. They say, okay, he's not okay. And Yaakov now gets nervous, and now he thinks of something, because apparently something changed. Wasn't thinking about it before. Why not? Okay? Another question. And I'll do one more question, and we're going to see all these things tied together. The Medrash has a different approach in what Yaakov was saying to Esav. And Yaakov's words are going on different levels. On one level, he's appeasing him. Listen, I've been a stranger, Garti, I lived with Lavan, I'm not an officer, I have, what do I got? I got donkeys and I got ox, I don't have it what our father promised us. The Medrash says he was implying other things to him. Here's what he was saying also. He was saying, Im Lavan Garti, Rashi brings this also, I lived with Lavan, the word Garti is the letters Taryag, 613. Listen, you can't mess with me. I kept the commandments. And our father, said that the only time you're going to be up is when I'm down. But if I keep the mitzvot, I keep the commandments, you won't have power over me, so don't mess with me. I lived with Lavan, who's a bad dude, and I kept all the mitzvot. You have no power on me. And not only that, I have a shor and I have a chamor. What does the Medrash say? What's a shor and a chamor? The shor is Yosef. Bechor shor hardarlo. Yosef is the shor. I have Yosef. And that means the future Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef is the precursor to the Mashiach, the Messiah we talk about. That's Mashiach ben Yosef. He fights the wars. He leads the precursor before Mashiach ben David, before the line of David comes in. So I have the ox. He's called the ox. I have Yosef. And I have the Chamor. What's the Chamor? Chamor is Mashiach ben David. It says, the Mashiach comes, he rides in on a Chamor. You can't hurt me. I got Son Kadoshim, the holy sheep, and I got the Mashiach of Yosef and Mashiach of David. Don't mess with me. You ain't going to win. There's two levels to his saying. Now, listen, I think it's true. If I had, the Mashiachs on my side, I'd probably want to show off also. But what does that have to do with this? Why is that right now his point? You're going to come against me? I got the machamor, and I got the shore. I got the bull, and I got the donkey. Don't. And somehow that's his move to affect Esav. Why? What does this mean? Okay, these are our questions. Okay, we got a lot of questions. Let's review. Why send angels? You just send messengers. You're just sending a message to him. Hey, I want to make up with you. Send messengers. Why do you need from two camps? Okay, two questions. Why you say he's going to Seir? Well, he's not planning on going to Seir. He's not planning. Why does he make this three-pronged approach of war, gifts, and prayer only after they come back and say Esav's still a bum? He knew he was a bum. And the last question we said is what is he implying exactly by saying, I have the Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David? What's he trying to accomplish with that? Those are our questions. Okay, any questions on our questions? Kind of makes sense, sort of makes sense. We're trying the Facebook land. I don't know how to do this yet where they send questions, but Facebook land. But if you'll have questions, they'll be a way to post them, I guess, in the future. It makes sense? We hear that thing? Okay. Now, so before I go on, good? We're good? You sure? Okay. So this is now fundamental stuff. Very, very important. Okay, we're going to tie this whole thing together. And the truth is, if you understand what we're going to talk about today, you understand all of current events. Current events are literally, from what we're going to talk about today, it's exactly what's happening. It's a fascinating thing. Let's understand. Let's understand how the human being works. You have thoughts in your head. You plan something, okay? You have certain processes in your mind, which we're not going to get into now. It's called Chachma Bina Das. You have a Chabad. You have thoughts in your mind of how you want to do something, okay? Now you want to bring them into action in the world, okay? What we want to talk about is the way human being is built, which represents the process of taking the intent, the thought, and bringing it out in the world. So you have a right hand, and you have a left hand. And then you have a torso. This and that. These are three important interactions. And we'll see it comes up every place. In Pirkei Avos, I'll show you 2 missions in Pirkei Avos that say exactly this, the different 3 qualities we're talking about. The first thing is, let's say I want to go and I want to teach my son Torah. Okay? So now what I got to do is I say, how do I give to him? The right hand is for giving. That's why when you do a mitzvah of charity, of tzedakah, you do it with your stronger hand, which is your right hand, right? That is the hand, that is the stronger hand. If you're left, you do the opposite. But it means that this is the hand that's for giving. I want to teach my son Torah. I think, how do I teach him? How do I go and share with him? How do I do this? Now, when you start giving, there's potentially a problem. I say, listen, my 6-year-old son, I love him so much, I'm going to teach him Kabbalah. Wrong move. That's not good, because your giving now is not balanced. Okay? If you want to give to someone, you keep giving with your right hand, you could harm them. A guy says, hey, can I have some charity? I know he's going to buy drugs. Giving him charity is not a good thing. You need the left hand. The left hand is no. Okay? And that's why it's the weaker hand. It's the weaker hand because you should be leaning more towards chesed, towards the giving. When you got to say no, that's the left hand. So here is I want to give to you. Here is when I have to have control over it. No. And then the torso is the balance. Okay? And that's how I start the process of my thoughts to bring them out in the world. I want to give. There's times I got to say no to give properly. Then I get the perfect balance. These are the traits of the Avos. Okay? The Avos had these 3 traits. Let's understand. Avraham, we know, was the giver. We talked about it once before. He is chesed. He is giving. Okay? And all of his actions are giving. That's why his 10 tests are what? They're all things that are from the left side. The gevurah, the restraint. Go and leave your old father. Go and bring your son as an offering. Go and kick out Yishmael. That's very, very hard for him. Every one of his 10 tests are the same thing. You're naturally the giver. Now, if you want to be whole, Avraham, the way that you have to do it is to know how to have gevurah, self-restraint, and to say no. Okay? And that is how Avraham comes to wholeness. He comes like this. I want to give. I want to give. Now, to give properly, I have to learn how to get the left side and say no. That's what I have to learn how to do. Abraham is such a giver that the Avdesler says if his son Yitzchak would have continued the path of giving, the world would have blown up. Why would the world blown up? Why could the world not succeed with having another giver like Avraham? Why do you think? What's the problem with that? Giving is great. What does Avdesler mean? Why would it be worse if you that way?
We have to go too far with it, but why bother with existence if you're just going to give away everything to start with? You're supposed to give us an opportunity to earn it. Right.
And now think about it. If I go and I give to someone, then what happens is that people say, hey, you know what? You did something wrong. It's okay. It's okay. So the people in the world that are negative people, there is no negative response. He's such a good teddy bear. He loves us all. He's going to let it go. So if Abraham's approach, which was so powerful in the world, and people loved it, as I said many times, that he got tremendous feedback. People were coming to him, they were converting, they were so excited. He showed God in the world. It's free, come in, the tent's open on 4 sides. So that approach was wonderful. But if that goes too far, then the guy says, you know what? Hashem loves me. I could do the wrong thing, but it doesn't make a difference. Because it's all kindness. Yitzchak was the opposite. He became the balance. Yitzchak became gevurah, self-restraint. That's what he was. He was now saying, no, you got to say no. And that's why Yitzchak, you barely hear about Yitzchak, because his approach is self-restraint. That's why you don't hear about him, because he is not out there doing. He's measuring himself. And that's why where all the converts of Avram go, when Yitzhak took over, they split. They left. They said, we don't like this. We like the other system. The guy was bringing us in, giving us children. We liked it. This guy is tough. Yitzchak's approach was yira, was having awe, and therefore it's restraint, it's control, it's constriction, it's limitations on myself, and thereby I will make sure I do everything right. Now let me ask you a question. So how does Yitzchak become great? How does he become a whole person? If he's so into being self-reflective and being careful about everything he does, and he's self-restraint and control and controlling himself, how does he become a whole person?
He learned to give, right?
How does he learn how to give? You know how he learns to give?
Wife, right?
That's a good answer. His wife was a Balas Chesed, which is why they chose that wife. She was so great at kindness. But Yitzchak gets to kindness still through using his trait of self-restraint. Watch how this works. I say, you know what? I'm scared I'm not going to do the right thing. I'm so reflective. I'm so careful about myself. I'm trying to guard myself. So what do I come out with? One of the things I must do to become a whole person is to become a giver. If you're so nervous you're going to do something wrong, then it requires you now to also start giving, because that's one of the things Hashem wants. It's one of the right things to do. So Yitzchak is the gevura in the gevura. All of his tests are, he comes to the altar, give his life up. He gives. We mentioned last week he gives the brachas, and what happens is he has to remove his whole philosophy of the world. He's like splitting the atom, constantly splitting it, and part of that self-reflection of the self-control of the left hand is, and therefore, if I want to do the right thing, I need to give. That's what he does. So Avraham and Yitzchak are these two sides. Okay, the right hand and the left hand. Now, here's what we have to understand. The two sides both have something called psolas. They have their extremes. Why do you think things in Judaism are always in threes? The reason is because the third day it says it's good 2 times, right? Because if I have a duality, I have two. I need the third one, which is the thing that weighs it out. So when you are tilted to one side, it's true, Avraham became a whole person. He got to the middle part because he was a giving person, then he had to refrain in himself, and Yitzchak became a giver from the left side. But when you are on either side, you're in a danger zone because you may be tilted. And that's what happened to their children. Avraham has 2 kids. Then he has other ones afterwards, but the 2 kids he has Yitzchak, we said, took the side of strength, of restraint, and he has a child named Yishmael. And it says, the commentaries say, he never rebuked Yishmael. The process that he did with Yishmael was always giving to him. And Yishmael therefore became what's called chesed shebeklipa. He became a person of giving, but it wasn't balanced. And that's why Yishmael and his descendants, have the rules of hospitality they learned from Avraham, but it's not balanced. What happens if you are a giver, but you do not know how to balance your giving? What problem might you fall into? What negative quality?
Superficiality.
What?
Superficiality.
Superficiality, that could be. But there's another one. I mentioned it before, but it's in the embodiment of a song, I think it came out probably in 1969, which kind of summed up that whole era about misplaced giving. The song was, there's a rose in the fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. That was the theme song in the 60s. That was giving in a misplaced giving, right? We're giving free love, free love. Now, free love is the problem. If you are a giver and you do not know when you should not give, that, the sages say, falls into illicit relations. That's what the Gemara says is Esakabim Arias, and Yishmael got 9. Why is that? Because what happens is that a person who wants to, I love people. I'm a people person. I give. Yeah, but now there's no boundaries. That falls into the klipa. That falls into negativity. That's a problem. So Abraham's, what's called his psoles, his not fulfilled trait, comes out to be Yishmael. Yishmael's like him. He's chesed. He's kindness. But it's not balanced, and therefore it tends towards that side of desire, illicit relations. Okay? Now, maybe I'll put it on the board even. I'll put it on the board in a second. Okay. So fine. So now let's go to the other side. You have Yitzchak. Yitzchak, we said, is self-restraint, gevura. Now, what happens when he has 2 children also? He has Yaakov and he has Esav. What is Esav's trait? Gevura, strength. That's why he's red. He's fiery red. That's one of the reasons Yitzchak loved him. It's one of the reasons because they say matzah minas mino. One person finds one's like him. He was also the power of control and restraint. But what did Esav do? Esav is the same thing. It's gevura in the klipa. It's the restraint, but in a misplaced form. Okay? It's restraint, but it's now not restraint on myself. It's restraint on others. That's why Esav is the fighter. He's the killer. He's the warrior. He's Isha Sadeh. That is the 2 extremes here that we have. We have Avraham with his qualities of chesed, but when it's not used properly, Yishmael had that problem. It's kindness and misplaced. Go over to Yitzchak. Now it's strength. It's restraint, misplaced. It's Esav. It's a person of war. Okay. With that introduction, you can understand this whole thing. Okay, and by the way, this is good. We're going to see it's the ideas in all of the Mishnahs. We're going to see that the world stands on 3 things: Torah, which is going to be the middle one; Avoda, which is going to be the strength; and kindness. We're going to see the 3 negative things: desire, jealousy, and then we're going to see the third one is going to be honor. So we'll see the middle one. Okay, so before we get to that, we'll get to that in a second. But right now, what do we got? We got these 2 sides. Now let's try to understand this whole story, what's going on. But before we get to that, what's Yaakov? So Yaakov is what's called Tiferes, beauty. He's also Das. He's also the middle line. Yaakov is what he is he is the perfect combination of the 2. That's why he's called Torah. He's called beauty because beauty takes 2 opposites and combines them together. It makes them greater than the whole. He's called Torah and MS and truth because he's a perfect balance. He's not too much right. He's not too much left. He's not too much. He's everything he does is according to what the Torah says. He's totally in line. That's why all of his children are Klal Yisrael. He has no children that are off the scale because he's not either side. He's the middle line. He's the middle line that balances the 2. Now watch how this ties in, and you'll understand the whole parsha. It's amazing. So Esav is really a dangerous person. Esav is what's called Chometz ben Yayin. He's called vinegar, the son of wine, because Esav, we said last time, was a Yisrael Mummer. He was a Jew who bailed out. He was really part of the family. He was part of the system, and he bailed out. Esav has tremendous power now. Yaakov is going to meet with Esav. Now, when he meets with Esav, he wants to go and to affect Esav. He wants to change Esav. If he changes Esav, Esav has a tremendous power inside him. He had tremendous great converts that came from the greatest people in the world. Unkelus, mayors, great people that came from Esav. He had side peeve, he had holiness in his mouth. He was a very powerful human being, but he was stuck. Yaakov knows if he gets Esav to change, that's it. That's going to be the geula, the redemption. It's like Esav. Esav he's the arch nemesis. If he gets him to come around, it's going to be the greatest thing he could do. That's why he sends angels, malachim, because what the attempt that he was trying to do was to go and to affect Esav in the deepest spiritual way to get him to change. And that's why he took angels from this camp, the right side, the mitzvot. When you do a mitzvah, a positive commandment, you create one kind of spiritual force. You guard yourself from a negative one, you create another kind of a spiritual force. That's what it means. There were two camps of angels. The land of Israel, outside of Israel. The positive as opposed to the refraining from negative. What he did was he took angels from both sides, from the side of the right side of kindness and the side of the left side of strength, holding back from doing a negative thing. Right? There are two kinds of commandments. Positive is what you're doing, you're giving, you're creating. And negative is you refrain from it. He took from both sides. Now wait a minute though. What I'm saying makes no sense, because Esav was not both sides. Right? Esav was only one side. He was the left side. Right? Didn't I just say that? But the answer, you all know the answer. What's the answer? What's the answer? The answer is unbelievable. The answer is all of what's going on today in current events. So if you want the answer, I'll give you the answer. Just you have to turn back here, page 142, to the end of Parshas Toldos, the end of Toldos. And Esav understands that he really can't beat Yaakov, because Yaakov he's a perfect synergy of the two sides. He's balanced. Esav knows he can't beat Yaakov like that. So what does Esav do? Look at the last line in the last verse of Toldos. Vayelech Esav Yishmael. Esav went to Yishmael. And he married Veikach Machlas Bas Yishmael. He married into Yishmael's family. He married Yishmael's daughter. And the reason why he did this was because he was going to take both sides and combat Yaakov. That's what he was trying to do. He understood that this was the only way. Now, you'll see everything makes perfect sense here. Yaakov takes the two camps of Malachim. He's trying to affect him. Why is he going to go to Seir? Because he believes that the angels will have an effect on him. He's hoping they'll have an effect. And when they have the effect on him, I'm going right to Seir. Because it's going to be good. The angels, I may have to shake you up a little bit. You know how I shake you up? I got a shor and I got a chamor. I got the two sides. I have the shor is the bull. That's Yosef, who's self-restraint. He's the power of the bull, Mashiach ben Yosef. And I have the chesed, the giving, the kindness, which is Mashiach ben David, who is on the chamor. That's what he's saying to him. That's why he tells him, I got both things. Because, you know what? You're not going to beat me. Just change. I kept the Torah. I got it. And I have both sides. What are you fighting with me for? That's what's happening. Now, I want to show you one other thing here, because this is just mind-boggling. And this is current events for sure. And the Maral talks about it. It's just fascinating. See, this combination of Esav and Yishmael is not a new idea. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying something that's new here. If you look in the book of Yechezkel, it talks about how in the end of days there's going to be an alliance between Esav and Yishmael to come fight against the Jews. That's the war of Gog and Magog, and Yechezkel talks about it. That's what's happening in Europe. In Europe, there really is this combination of these two sides uniting to try to fight against the Jewish people, because they're taking the two powers. You don't like that, I'll give you better. So the Gemara says, the Gemara says, who's going to be the one to start these wars that in the end, Mashiach will come in the end from this? It says in the Gemara, Iran. Says the Maharal, why Iran? Because Iran, it says, is the combination. It is, they consider themselves Aryans. They don't consider themselves, they're not Arab, they're Aryans, which means that they are the West. But they took the religion of Yishmael. And says the Maharal, that's why they are actually the combination. Now, I'll tell you something else, which is even freakier, which you're not going to believe me on this one. But it's a fascinating thing. You look at the two different people we're talking about. Yishmael, whose tendency is towards the giving, but it could fall into the klipa, could fall into a place of overextending, of reaching out, where you not having boundaries. What's the religion that they took? Submission. Islam means submission. So the tendency of the giver is coupled now with a religion that is submission. Now go look at Rome, which the Western society is an extension of Rome. Rome, which was the war machine of Rome. What religion did they take as their national religion? The religion of love. It's the medicine. Now, at this point, you won't believe me on either, but this one of them you know that JC was Jewish. That you know, okay? And if you don't believe me on this one, I'll have to show it to you on the board, because you're not going to believe me otherwise. Let's get this one on the board here. Can we hold that up there? Yeah, let's get this on the board, because you're not going to believe me otherwise. I tell you that Esav, let's get it like that. Okay, I tell you that Esav is the father of Rome. Okay? Esav. He's the father of Rome. And he's the father, therefore, of the Western society. The Arab is Yishmael. But Esav is the father of Rome, and they are Western society, and they eventually take on the religion of Christianity. Says the Arizal, if you take the name Esav, and you flip around the letters, it spells the name Yeshu. That is Jesus. Oh my gosh. Everyone see that in Facebook land? Whoa, that's pretty crazy. Okay. Now, I'll tell you one other thing. This one you're not going to believe me on, but I heard from Moshe Shapiro. And this is a Zatzal. It's a fascinating thing. But there are Arabic scholars who say that Muhammad's mother was Jewish. And Moshe Tzal said that was correct. And he brings a Gemara that supports it. The Gemara talks about two Mitzrayim that fell out of the camp, and the world attaches, which means that if you understand now that the Arab nation has if Muhammad's mother is Jewish, in Jewish law she's Jewish, he's Jewish, and then they hooked onto that from there, and Yeshu, JC, is also Jewish, and they grabbed from there. That's quite incredible. Now we understand what's happening in the Parsha. What's happening is that you want to talk about it as, see, again, what America is going to be, we don't know. We're pulling for America. We're pulling that America, is going to support. They're supporting Israel now, and we pull that they're going to do that. And what's going to be, who knows? I don't know what's going to be. But I know that philosophically there is a left side and there's a right side here, and the combination of the two is what Asa was trying to do in this parsha. Yaakov comes and says, I'm going to send malachim, spiritual forces from both sides, from two camps, to affect him. And then I'll go to Seir, and I'll be able to greet him. And he gives him a little warning. He says, listen, you got to give in. Because I got the bull, and I got the donkey. I got both sides, and I've united them. I've kept the Torah. I got it. I have the unity. I'm doing it. And when they come back and they say, Esav is intent, he doesn't care. He's coming to greet you, and he's going to kill you. So what does he do? Now he starts his three-pronged process. What's that? Gifts. What side is that? Giving. War. What side is that? The left side. And now the part that Esav can't really do. Because when you get negativity and you try to combine them, they don't really combine. If you get a bunch of people that say, hey, we're all on the same team, but everyone wants to be their own boss, and they want to be, each one wants to be the king, you see how fast that thing breaks up. Because they're not really, they're united against, for a common enemy, but then once they get control, each one wants to be the king. Every communist country, we overthrew, and now there's more corruption. So when people have negative intent, there's really not a unity. Unity is false. But Yaakov's unity is correct. That's why the three-pronged approach now shows giving, gifts, war, and then the third thing is tefillah. Tefillah is lashon petil, which is like a lid that sits on top of a vessel. It's a unification. It's a connection. He's now combining the two. Yaakov is showing that I have all three. I have the right, I have the left, but I have them united, and therefore you're not going to beat me. That's what he does. I'll see you later in Seir. You don't want to get it now, but in the end, Yaakov Avinu, he represents the true unity of both sides, and therefore the completion of the two. And this is what I said to you before. The Mishnah says three things the world stands on. On Torah, the middle line. Avoda, the control, burning the offerings, self-control, and kindness. And the three things that take a person out of the world is desire, overabundance of desire, taiva, kina, jealousy, I want to control you, I don't want you to have it. And then a person saying that they want honor instead, which means that instead of saying that the truth is that the honor belongs to Hashem, they say, no, I want to change the truth and the honor belongs to me. That's the illusion of the Esav Yishmael marriage and the Yaakov truth that pervades and wins in the end. Okay? Questions, comments, thoughts on what we said?
So is the implication, initially there was some hope?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always hope, and right now, Esav, look, we mentioned a few weeks ago when we talked about the story with Antoninus, that Marcus Aurelius, and said that he said he had the combination with Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, where they had that relationship, and he says to him, what about the future and the world to come? He says, yeah, you're a member of the world to come because you don't act like Esav. Esav acted negatively. But his descendant, in this case, was Marcus Aurelius. Antoninus is brought in the Gemara. He didn't act that way. So yeah, there was always hope. And again, it's the same thing. And that's why I say it's the same thing in terms of right now. In terms of we don't know who's going to be what. We want everyone to come out on the side of good. We want America to go and say, listen, we want to do what's right, and we understand what the Jewish people are, and we want to be connected to it. And that's a wonderful thing. And hopefully that's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be on the side of right and wrong. I don't know. I know that, so far we see Iran's not going in the right direction, what they want to do. But, how other people will play out, we daven for them. That's called the birur. The birur process is what's happening right now, which is the separation between people of where you're really at. And that's happening across the board. Right now, that's a very strong process now. And the birur process is happening. The world's playing out where there's a sifting of where do you stand? Are you stuck in the violence of Esav? Are you stuck in the in the desires of Yishmael, or Yishmael does tshuva at the end of his life, right? That's why he has a tremendous merit. Esav didn't. Esav was a very powerful person. That's why his head ends up in Rasman of Machpelah. His head is there because he had power. He had spiritual greatness, but he never brought his head down to his heart. He didn't act that way. Anyway, that's the idea. So this is the very fundamental things here you see. You got now the process of the giving, the refraining, the balance, and now you see that's really what's going on here in this parsha with Yaakov and Esav. That's the Esav again. He tried to combine with Yishmael, and that is really some kind of things that we see even today in the contemporary world of current events. What's going on and which sides people are choosing. Willing to be good.
What about the going to Seir part?
What?
What about the going to Seir eventually part?
Yeah, so he brings down. Rashi brings down here in the parsha. He brings down the pasuk. It's a pasuk. Har Esav. They'll go and they'll judge Har Esav, which is Seir. So eventually, when time comes, there'll be a judgment in Seir, and that's going to be part of the process. Who did what. So Yaakov, was hoping to go to Seir in a very good way right now, and since Esav was obstinate, that's why he pushed it off. His original hope was the Malachim were going to change everything, and that's why he needed real angels to get into Esav and change him.
So with Abraham, obviously embodies the need of Chesed, but he certainly had the strength because he passed all the tests.
That's
so
right.
He had this incredible strength in him also. The Chesed is what.
That's right.
Right, he had both.
That's right.
But
the difference.
Both because who could have passed those tests without it?
Right, but he didn't have them in the beginning. The tests helped bring it out, and that's what I was saying. You have to get to be whole one way or another. You either start from kindness, you either start from gevura, or you start from truth. And Rav Dessler says an amazing thing here. Rav Dessler says that every person has to look at what their main traits are. Your main trait is maybe kindness, maybe it's judgment, gevura, strength and judgment, or maybe it's truth. And then you have a secondary trait. Like I said to people, myself, the way I estimate myself is my main trait is emes. That's what interests me most, is truth. Me personally. But I try to be chesed shebe'emes. I try to do kindness to bring out the truth. And there are people who are chesed shebechesed. They want to do chesed because I'm doing chesed. And everyone's some combination. And Rav Dessler says that those are main fundamental traits to figure out what motivates you most. And people that are gevura get upset because they always think gevura is like a negative. It's not a negative. Gevura is gevura when that restraint, when it's tempered, is the Leshem says that's the pleasure, that's the ultimate experience of reality. So because if you don't have you see, it works like this in terms of the meat and the traits, but it also works philosophically. If you expand, you get nothing. I can't experience something that's completely endless. You need to have a limitation, right? I have so many possibilities in front of me, I can't do anything. When you develop a style of writing, that's the limitation. And if you're a good writer, you have more tools, but you always need some type of framework to contain something. Chesed is always expanding. Okay? Chesed is water. It takes flour and it puts it together and makes it into dough. Gevura is fire. It takes something and it breaks it up to its small parts. Okay? That's what they are. One's water and one's fire. One's expansive and one's contracting. And if you expand so much, then there's no way to do anything. And if you're too contracted, then you don't do anything either. You need both. Like you need male, female, you need chesed and gevura, which why it's a male-female idea also.